Nothing's quite easy in the heat of the desert, certainly not in Arizona. However, in that very heat today, Colombia making easy work of Costa Rica. The final score of 3-0. To break it all down now, Kasey, Keller, Herculez Gomez, Sebastian Salazar from our LA studios here. All right, gentlemen, Colombia looked pretty impressive in their first game against Paraguay. Do we dare say they even took a step further here with this victory, Case?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that progression we were hoping to see from the U.S. national team, which we didn't. It was good combination play against in midfield, created the opportunities. Maybe didn't take as many opportunities, particularly early in this match, as they could have. But they continued to do what they needed to do, and then they got the first goal, and then they always looked comfortable. Costa Rica, we know this isn't the most talented Costa Rica we've seen in the last 20 years, but they're organized, they're resilient, they kind of find a way. But I think after the penalty, it kind of eased, I think, any pressure that Colombia was on, and then they were able to kind of cruise after that.
What did you think of Colombia today?
Yeah, you saw a team that's preparing to win the tournament versus a team that's preparing for 2026, the World Cup. Costa Rica is a very, very young team. At some point in time, they had 4 teenagers on the field. Gustavo Alfaro's not thinking, let me compete with Colombia and win this tournament. He's thinking, let me prepare these individuals, let me prepare these kids for the World Cup. Colombia's the opposite. 24 games unbeaten. The last 9 they've won, and one of those a humiliating loss for the U.S. men's national team. They're on a different boat. You can look at the player per player, what they have to offer, and then what Costa Rica has to offer. It's night and day. Joel Campbell comes on the field, probably Costa Rica's highest profile player on the offensive end. Luis Diaz, James Rodriguez. You know, there's a difference in talent and quality here. And then, in case you know this, at this level, when the margins are so slim, Costa Rica did so well of being so good defensively to have Patrick Sequeira, who had a very good game against Brazil. Foolish, PK there. It just puts you behind the 8 ball.
As soon as we saw it, we were like, I just was like, oh, that's a bad decision. Why are you going out there? There's no reason to go out there. I mean,
Calvo actually makes the play. He sweeps the ball away.
But
it's very true.
But the mentality sometimes in goal is, I so badly want to help. And there's sometimes that difficult of just saying, that's not my job at that point. Leave that to the defender that was following him. And then if later, but he got sucked in, he committed the foul. And then at 1-0, it was always going to be difficult.
And it's funny you say that with Patrick Sequeira because it's the third goal. He already came out and made a mistake.
Exactly,
he doesn't want to come out in the third goal with John Cordoba, and he stays in, and Cordoba finishes nicely, and it's 3-0. But listen, man, the playmakers for Colombia came to play. Luis Diaz looks like the Luis Diaz we see at Liverpool. James Rodriguez, every time he puts on this jersey, is a different man. He's leading Copa America right now in assists. A beautiful play today. It was a very I don't want to say easy game for Colombia, but they were never ruffled. Costa Rica made it difficult at times, but for Néstor Lorenzo's man, it was just...
They made it difficult by trying to park the bus. And they got numbers back, and they made it difficult. And what Colombia continued to do, as we're watching the game, we're going, oh, great cross. Just kind of missed or just didn't quite get on. But they created half chance after half chance after half chance, continued to stick with the game plan, and then got the goals when they needed them.
You're saying Costa Rica didn't really make Colombia all that uncomfortable. They definitely made Brazil uncomfortable.
Correct.
What do we make of the fact that Brazil couldn't score on this Costa Rican team, and Colombia scored 3 and might have been able to have a 4th or a 5th?
Yeah, we're having a very different discussion about the moment of Colombia and the moment of Brazil. I think we're judging Brazil because of what Brazil were historically in this game, not because of the pool of players they have today or how they actually are performing in World Cup qualifiers. Colombia didn't qualify for last World Cup, and they're atoning for those sins. They're running, their way into being one of the hottest, if not the hottest team right now in world football. And Brazil's coming off losing their first 3 games out of 6 in World Cup qualifying, and the first ever loss at home versus their bitter rivals Argentina. It's completely night and day, the moments they live. I don't think you can use that as a barometer, how one did versus Costa Rica versus the other. But certainly, Colombia was able to open the door and, when they were knocking and keep on applying that pressure to a Costa Rican team that I go back to. They're valiant and at times organized in the way they defend. Certainly lacking a little bit of that punch, but they're a very young team. Gustavo Alfaro's not thinking today, I'm going to compete in this Copa America. He's thinking tomorrow, these kids will compete in the World Cup in some way.
We haven't yet seen Brazil play twice. What do you think the gap is between Colombia and Brazil, or is there not one?
I think you're looking at two teams. You're looking at one team that has trended into a team that it looks like they can win tournaments. And you're looking at a Brazil side that's still trying to figure out who they're going to be. And if they're going to be competitive in a World Cup, they got to figure some things out in this tournament because they are by nowhere near the complete package. When you look at the way Colombia has been playing, they are the complete package right now. The team that you say, this is the hottest team coming into this tournament. The team that's 24, 25 games unbeaten, 9 in a row, and doing things that look like a team. Brazil just looks like individuals on the field that doesn't quite know yet who they're going to become. Now, if they can become that by 2026, great, but they're not there right now.
It's funny, you talk about DNA. When have we ever questioned the DNA of the Brazilian national team? You know, it's Joga Bonito, and from the back, the fullbacks, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, Marcelo, Dani Alves. You know, you go into the midfield, all the historic players, Ronaldinho, Kaká, R9, you know, Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo. There was
Ronaldinho from
Ronaldinho, Gaucho.
You know, going back with Beto, Romario. I mean, it's just
whatever you want to go.
So stacked.
There was an arrogance to their football. Now it's very robotic. You look at the midfield, Paqueta. You know, like what they can do. Look at the back, Marquinhos. Up top, Vini Jr. is a Ballon d'Or candidate, absolutely. With this Brazil, he scored 3 goals. You know, Rodrigo, good forward. With this Brazil, not so much.
Yeah, but
Hendrick, he's a teenager.
Yeah.
He's not really proven. Can he be the solution? Maybe in the future. Right now, if you're Dorival Jr., you have a lot more questions than you do answers.
But if you look down the spine, even from the back, you know, okay, look, Allison, very good goalkeeper, great. Where's the Thiago Silva?
Right.
Where's the Casemiro? Where's those veteran kind of big legend guys who are in Champions League finals and really stars of their big European clubs to kind of settle the young attacking flair that hasn't quite got to that point yet, but it's not there. There's a lot of holes in this Brazilian side.
Lacking star power. Danilo, Wendell, these are very good players, but by no means like their predecessors.
Can we bring it back to Colombia for just a second? Because based on what you guys are saying, and kind of based on the results we've seen so far, it seems very likely that they would potentially win this group. If the U.S. survives the game against Uruguay and manages to come out second, that would be a potential quarterfinal matchup. Is there something in this Colombian side that U.S. fans can look at and say, there's our chance. We can play with this team? Or based on what we've seen, do you think that that's an impossibility?
No, it's not an impossibility. I think you've seen in this tournament that there are teams who are lesser on paper who make it very difficult for the favorite, very difficult for the team with stars.
Is the U.S. capable of doing that? Like we saw Costa Rica was capable of doing that against Brazil. Does the U.S. have that in them?
They can have that in them. Like, listen, you got to worry about Uruguay first. You know, you got to get past Uruguay. Something has to go your way with.
I'm giving you the hypothetical, though, that you do see Colombia in that next round.
I believe what happened between the U.S. men's national and Colombia in the friendly is an accident in terms of how that scoreline got away. Sure, Colombia is 3-1 better than the U.S. men's national. I believe that. I don't believe they're 5-1 better. I think those were individual mistakes, whether it was Timothy Weah trying to dribble out the back, whether it was Tim Ream, you know, giving up that silly play that led to that goal in the corner kick, or whether it was Cameron Carter-Vickers or Matt Turner not being able to stop that shot. There are circumstantial events that led to that scoreline. I don't believe there is a massive +3 goal differential between these two. So in a tournament setting, if you are smart and there are teams that are very fast in transition in this tournament. Those are going to do very well. Your Uruguay, your Argentina, at times Colombia, but I think Colombia is much more balanced. If the U.S. can attack in transition with numbers, that's a very fast team. You can do some damage. There is a road there, but certainly this Colombian team, whether it's World Cup qualifying, where they're proven to be very good defensively, only giving up 3 goals, or whether it's anything else because they're 24 games unbeaten right now, it's a stiff test.
You know what I like about the matchup? I like the matchup of, we just beat this team by 4 goals. It was easy. The overconfidence, plus then something to prove if the U.S. has another chance against a team that embarrassed them. So that side I like, just from kind of the mentality side of things. But there's no question that the fitness, the form, the squad depth, the confidence, Colombia is clearly one of the favorites.
Yeah. Based on kind of what we've seen so far, I'd be between Colombia and Uruguay, just on like quality of play. Obviously, Argentina comes in with an incredible roster, but Colombia's looked really good, and Uruguay have hit some high notes.
But also
as well.
the same argument that I had about the U.S. matching up against Colombia again. It's also that Argentina trying to do back-to-back, which has it's just a weird motivation thing that when you look at stuff historically, it's so difficult to do.
All right, we are forecasting to the knockout rounds, but we are still very much in the group phase here at Copa America. We'll have another.
I'm back.
There you
Futbol
are.
America.
Yes. The Photoshoppers
Yes,
are back
I got
on the clock.
Photoshopped
They got
back. It looked
Kasey
nice.
up on the
Nice.
graphic. We will be live on ESPN Plus immediately following the conclusion of Paraguay and Brazil, so it should be around 8 p.m. on the West Coast and 11 p.m. over on the East Coast. We'll see you then.